2025, Ducati has made some waves and some controversial changes to their bikes. We'll look at the Panigale V4 here with a whole new redesign. Doesn't look like a Honda, doesn't look like a Squid or something like that. I don't know. But the more I look at it, the more I like it. I think the design's great, but there's something else they did that was huge. The double-sided swing arm gone is that beautiful single-sided wheel. You can see everything. It looks unique. Kind of went away from that. But even that, I don't believe, is the biggest change or controversial thing that they did. Look at what they did to the V2. What did Ducati do to the V2S to make it so controversial and different? They changed the engine out. they got rid of the 955cc Desmo engine that, was the beating heart, the thing that everyone latches onto. I mean, all of the Ducati clubs, they're called Desmo clubs, right? This engine is different. It's no longer Desmo, although I don't know the name of it, so if you know the name of this new engine, please leave a comment down below. But it is 890 cc's, is 120 horsepower, and around 69 pound-feet of torque. With the exhaust, we're looking at 126 horsepower and probably 71 to 72 pound-feet of torque. So all that on paper sounds like it would be slower than the old one, right? I don't know. Let's go out and see. 2025 Ducati Panigale V2S. Look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it. I think it looks good in person. Honestly, when I saw it online, I kind of liked it there too. But we're going to go for a ride, see what it's about, come back, and go over all the little different features about it, because this is a very different bike from the previous V2, which kind of stay tuned there, because we are going to ride the old V2 and compare that, and we'll kind of show you the differences there. So stay tuned for that video to follow this one. But let's get a start. Let's get a Terminione exhaust. I wonder how long until these melt. Alright, what do we think? Anyone that wants to say 120 horsepower isn't enough, or oh my gosh, you made the bike slow by giving it 30 less horsepower, I'm sorry, you're crazy. Now this model does, or this particular V2S does have the exhaust on it, so I believe it raises the horsepower to 126, and I think it puts the torque somewhere around like 72, 71 pound-feet of torque. So it's definitely up from stock. What does that mean in comparison? Well, you think the old V2 was 150, 155 horsepower and like 76, I think, pound-feet of torque. So it's pretty dang close for what it is. But man, does that Termi sound good. It's got a little at the end there. I love that. Quick shifter is fantastic. I will say that the switchgear here is busy as shit. There's so many things to push here that you gotta, it's one of these things you gotta sort of work with and play with. Like, I always felt Ducati's turn signals were in the best spot ever, but now there's this guard from this upper switch gear that plays with the dash, and because of that it's hard to hit it. You got the horn and then the hazards right by it. You do have cruise control, so Ducati finally put cruise control on something. But this is a little bit to get used to. Not a big deal, just pointing that out to some of you. But as far as riding position goes, the first time I sat on it, I was a little worried because it does feel a little cramped. And by that, you'll see when I get off of it and do a side shot how my elbows are in relation to my knees. But as far as actually riding like this, slowly behind this Lexus, it's comfortable. I don't feel like I have enough room to go back, because as I scoot back, I do hit the rear seat. So if you're taller than I am, again, 5'11", 6 foot, depending on how I'm feeling that day, you're not gonna be able to go back as far. And I like to have, I try to get it fits between the crotchal region and the tank, or the gut in the tank, and I can't do that because the seat's in the way. So there's your slow speed remarks, because again, we're behind people and this is how it is. But very initial impressions, there's honestly a lot of torque, and like, let's say we'll go down to 4,000, we'll get down there in third gear. That's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's definitely not slow, and I love this sound. It's not quite as obnoxious as some other exhausts, and it makes this sound like a Ducati still. Like, some people were worried getting rid of that the old Desmo twin, that you're gonna lose that thump that we fell in love with Ducatis, but I don't think that's the case with this thing. As far as ease of riding, this is a very easy bike to ride, which is so crazy to say with Ducatis. Oh, wow. Holy crap. This thing is rapid. Oh. Man. Brakes feel great. They're the Brembo M50 monoblock, so they're an upgrade from what the old ones were, which we'll get into more of the comparisons later. Jesus, this thing is just rapid. It's punchy. It's very punchy. Again, third gear, like 3,000 RPM, was nowhere in the right power band, but they liked it. All right, let's have some fun going down. Oh, that poppy sound it has. It's very nice. I'm really liking the size of the tank. It definitely feels narrow. God, you can just steer with the brakes. I love that. This engine's a very big fan of revving. Oh, man. I tell you what, so the 25 Panigale I think's great, but I think the Street Fighter is the way to go. I honestly think if the Street Fighter is anything like this, as far as the characteristics of the motor and how it puts down its power, I think it will be the same, where it's the way to go. Because this thing just begs to be hooligan on. Turning rate's nice, smash your thumb against the fairings. Oh, gotta love the smell of a new bike and the new exhaust. Oh, there's a little heat on my right calf. Not too bad though. I love bikes you can get on and feel right with right away, and you just kind of flow with this thing. No wonder Marquez was as fast as he was. I mean, granted, he's amazing, but like, you just instantly feel great riding this bike. Instantly. Holy crap. My buddy got a chance to do the press release ride of this out in California, and he's like, man, this is a totally different bike and it's exciting. Yeah, I would almost have to agree. Okay, kickstand. All right, let's take a second here, sort of digest what we just did. I think looks wise, this new redesign works so well for the V2S, or the V2 in general. I think it looks fantastic without the wings. I like the simplicity of it. I know there's a lot of people that want to say this Supersport design married into the Panigale is gross, but it really just works well. But man, this exhaust is nice. Quite like the exhaust.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Freaking rapid. Oh, these bikes are good. I remember the Supersport feeling like this. It was far more tame, the mapping and everything. This just wants you to wring its neck. Man, what a wow. Okay, we'll slow down for a second. Mainly because I always do right here, because cops like to sit here. Anyways, this V2S, I rode in sport, yeah. I almost got hit by a tarantula hawk there, that would have been cool. The V2S, especially with this exhaust, whether that 6 horsepower or whatever is noticed, I don't know, I'd have to run the base to see, but in race mode, by far my favorite mode. I tried it in sport, it's fine, but it doesn't quite have the type of throttle response I like. While it's nice and good for the streets and good for someone that's relatively new, it's good. I like to race because it's instantaneous. It's great. The seating position is comfortable. I will say I do feel slightly cramped on it, and not in a bad way, because the seating position is such that I'm not way far over my hands, and I have a decent reach. It's not nearly as harsh as, you know, Panigale would be, where you're definitely more lean forward. Panigale V4, I mean. So when you ride it, you definitely get that Supersport, relaxed, more comfortable feel, but honestly that relaxed nature goes away, especially in race mode, and when you get on the twisties, it is incredibly capable. So yeah, it's fun. But let's get back to the shop and go over like the dash and a few other little nitnoid pieces about this bike, because it is a totally new bike and there's a lot of interesting stuff about it. So let's go back.
What Ducati did with the V2, the 2025 V2S, and the base V2 is more than just a body redesign. They didn't just change some fairings and maybe do a different tank design. They got rid of everything, including the beating heart, the thing that most people are twisted up in knots about, and that is the engine. Got rid of that thumping 955cc V-twin and put in this 890cc, 120 horsepower, 69 pound-feet of torque engine. And that might sound like it's less because, well, technically it is. The previous gen was 155, 150-ish horsepower, and I believe like 76 pound-feet of torque. So that it definitely sounds like it's more. But what's interesting about this particular engine is it's all of 120 pounds. Like, you could lift that. Like, I'm pretty sure I could lift that up. And it is the lightest engine that Ducati's made. At least I believe that's what they had mentioned. But what all that lightness means is that this thing just spins up so quickly. And if you go back and watch how I'm riding, like I said, it's punchy. This engine just, as soon as you get on the throttle, especially 3,000, 4,000 RPM, it just hits and goes. And I believe that is all down to the lightness of the internals of this engine. Those of you that are all worried and complaining about the engine being smaller and less power, ride it. I guarantee it'll change your mind because of just how good the power delivery and the motor is on this beautiful little beast. You kind of forget that it's only 120 horsepower. It almost feels a little bit more. And again, the torque it's not that low. Most of them are in the 70s. This with the exhaust is in the 70 pound-feet of torque, so it's right where it should be. The riding characteristics, I'm pretty impressed with how nimble this felt. You see some of those quick switchbacks, it did it with ease, and you feel really confident. You know, when I was sitting on this, initially I thought it was going to be too cramped for me, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Mind the shorts, is when you're tucked, I'm kind of right there. On the Panigales, I'm actually a little further. I have more room to reach, and I genuinely like that. So when I first sat on it, I thought it was going to be too cramped. But as you're riding, you realize how comfortable it actually is. Yes, it is a little more upright. That's where that Supersport sort of feel comes in. But it doesn't ride like the Supersport. I don't think it even has the same engine characteristics either. This is definitely more exciting and more fun to ride. And I believe it gives you a little more leverage around the turns to have the bars the way that they are. Then something that's interesting about these handlebars, you really can't lower them too far. Otherwise, these will actually hit the tank. So if you want to adjust stuff, they do have, I believe they have a race kit you can put on there to change the actual bars themselves. So if that's something you're looking at, I believe the Time Attack would be the kit you might go after. The other bits that I really like about the V2S, and something that I wish the older V2s had an option for, you know, straight from the factory like this does, is all-in suspension and then Brembo brakes. These are the M50 calipers, so they're not the Stylemas, but honestly, this bike doesn't need that particular style of brakes because that'd be, I think, too much braking force for the type of bike this is. But I want to point out sort of this design here, because there's actually functional vents that come in here and sort of siphon the heat from the engine out and away from your body. It was about a 90-degree day today here in Arizona, so I got to experience some of that heat, because after riding up and down that little mountain pass, we definitely got stuck in a little bit of traffic there, and I could tell that my legs weren't being roasted by the heat coming back into my knees like in the previous generation Panigales or the V2, because I did ride them back to back and I noticed the heat difference. I did notice a little bit of heat back here, but it wasn't that bad. Honestly, this little passage here, and you'll actually see like up in this area here, this passes through and goes up and away. Really cool feature. We'll talk about the switchgear, because it is a little tricky because of the turn signal being down underneath this lip. Then you have your horn and your hazards. But this little guy right here is where you change all of your menus and cycle through. You have a mode button up here. And then more importantly, you have your fantastic cruise control settings. Amazing that Ducati finally put cruise control on a bike. All right, so we have the settings menu, and we're gonna go through some of the dash here. Right now it is in the track setting for the dash itself. But to do that, you look at the little cross pad that I showed you earlier, hit the center button. It goes into your modes and all the information you need. So let's go to My Ride. You go to Ride Info, and that's where you can sort of see, you know, what your trip is, speed, constant speed, trip time, all that fun stuff. And then you can have it displayed however you want. Go to Info mode. This is where you actually change the dash layout, and that goes from Road, Road Pro, Track, and those are your options. So right now we're in Track. Let's go to Road. See how that changes there. Let's go to Road Pro. Now that adds a few more little pieces there. You see, like on the bigger Panigale, you have the power and torque, which is a cool little touch, and I like the resolution of this particular dash, because the older Panigale definitely seemed old. Like the way these dashes have gone, the clarity of them have definitely changed and improved. And when you don't kind of keep up with that, you start to see that it's 4 or 5 generations old. Now, if you look right here, you'll see a fuel gauge. That's right. Ducati has a fuel gauge on a sports bike. How awesome. Now you look over here and see the traction control, wheelie control, engine braking, ABS, all that stuff. Again, like in the other Panigale. And when you activate, you know, traction control, wheelie control, those will actually flash like, again, in the other Panigale. Now, when I rode it, I was in race mode because why not? You also have power launch, so this does have launch control, which is pretty sweet. Let's go down to settings. Vehicle. Tires, depending on the type of tires you have, especially if you go to slicks, you use this. Daytime running lights. Coming home light. So when you actually turn the key off, your headlights will stay on for a little bit. Now the Panigales have passed, or Ducatis have passed. That was actually a key position you would go to. You'll see a park, and that's when your headlights will stay on. I've actually left my headlights on because of that, and with this mode, now you don't need to put it in the park mode to have your lights on, and they automatically stay on and then turn off after a set amount of time. Turn indicators auto off. I mean, it's like anything else. Lap timer, pit limiter. I mean, you can set that. It's pretty sweet. And then it goes through your normal information. Go to advanced. Here's your rider mode setups. If you want to change them, you want to set up, let's set up race. And you got your power mode. You have high, medium, low. Again, with your Panigales, high always means full power, full amount of throttle, and it gives you all the beans that you want. Again, the power is dynamic, meaning that it's going to come on quick and strong. That's the whole point. Smooth, it's a little more laid back, especially if you have a looser surface. Let's see. ABS, again, a couple settings. It'll show you whether it's more track or road focused. Same thing with traction control. And I like the fact that it shows you the wet. The display is fantastic, honestly. It's very intuitive and easy to go through. The quick shifter was fantastic. I rode it when I was riding it. It clicked through really quickly. There wasn't anything hung up on it. And what I did appreciate about it was it was very mechanical feeling. It didn't feel video game-esque where you just kind of flick something and it changes. No, it actually had a good mechanical engagement. There you go. Go back. Display, you change brightness, themes. Oh, you got auto, light, or dark. We're in auto because obviously as you go indoors, it'll dim down. As you go outdoors, it'll turn back on. Something I noticed about the dash, especially during the day, it didn't glare out. A lot of Panigales of any generation always had a problem with glare. This has far less of an issue. You can sync your devices and do turn-by-turn navigation, which BMW's had for a while, and now Ducati is finally putting that in bikes like the V2, and I believe you have that option in the Panigale V4 as well. So overall, what do we think of the 2025 Panigale V2S? It's punchy out of turns, it likes to lean in, it's very light and nimble, especially in comparison to the previous one, which we'll get into on the next video. The exhaust note with this Termi exhaust is beautiful. It doesn't sound, it still sounds like a Ducati, okay? And honestly, it sounds like a little bit more angry Ducati. It seems like it's got a little bit higher peppiness and a little faster on the revs. And that's where the punchiness comes from when you actually come out of corner. I think the riding position is comfortable. I do think if you're taller than 6 foot, it might be a little cramped for you. But overall, it's a very nice, I don't want to say intermediate type bike. It's definitely, I wouldn't quite go as far as a beginner. Like the Supersports I felt were pretty soft and kind of compliant and easier to ride. So they will lend to those that are looking to get into Ducati, but they don't want to go the scrambler route. I think this might be a little high on the tick for someone that's looking in that realm. But if you want something that's plenty fast, let me tell you, plenty fast, very capable, has great components straight out of the box, has a great dash, quick shifter is fantastic, and honestly the looks, I quite like the way the non-winged Panigale looks. It's just nice and clean. It's got a good little angriness to it. And it is definitely different. Ducati likes to push boundaries and change, where they're at in the marketplace. And I believe they did that with this. This is supposed to compete with that R9. And I have yet to ride the R9, but it's got a pretty high hill to climb to get it in the realm of what this 2025 V2S is. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like content like this, definitely hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell for notifications because I try to post on a regular basis, but things happen. Also, a big thank you to On Any Moto Power Sports because this is their demo bike. It's literally been demoed and prepped with yesterday, and now I get to ride it today. So I'm very grateful to them for allowing me to kind of take this out. And if you're in the area and looking for a V2 to ride, hit them up. But with that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Get out on two wheels, and we'll see you on the next one.